And then I'm going to go into Scotland. And these strange folk that I've just witnessed from afar, getting into this pseudo-governmental system they call Scotland, that's still totally left-wing, totally, completely, and everything they've done seems to be, even the speeches they've made, have been for the end of a people called Scottish, as they've always been. But Nicola Sturgeon, in this party that's supposedly got a say over Scotland, says second Scottish independence vote is highly likely. And that's to be expected too, because these are completely far left, total integrationists, eradication of the nation state of Scotland. Just like I mentioned, I've read the articles from, remember, the characters in charge of the EU over the years, including one, it was Dupuy, they call him. He was the head of it, and Rompuy, it was Van Rompuy. And he said, and I read the article from the European paper, lauding his speech when he says it's the end of the nation state. He says they're obsolete. Did they ask anybody in those countries, the ordinary folk, did they ever give it a chance to ask them if they had a say in this? Did they mind if they just got eradicated? Huh? And did they say, do you mind if this ultra-dictatorial system, dangerous system, would they mind if they lorded it over everybody with all kinds of secret Stasi-type system laws and so on, and policing for your thoughts and all that, punishment? No. That's what folk are rebelling against. So anyway, Nicola Sturgeon, who sounds fishy to me, but did a second independence referendum, said it was probably highly likely. And she said it was democratically unacceptable that Scotland faced the prospect of being taken out of the EU against its will. I mean, if I remember right, the folk didn't even want to go into it to begin with. All the big corporations, again, just like Ireland, are foreign-owned. They get all the big massive handouts from all the different lobbyists, you see. Oh, they're all for them staying in. She said the Scottish government would begin preparing legislation to enable another independence vote, meaning to stay in the EU. And again, how many of the votes were fudged there, even with their pencils, eh? So I'll put these articles up. You can read them for yourselves and, again, try and make your own minds up. But yet, understand, even though you don't live in Europe, if you're in North America or elsewhere, the fact is, this is a world agenda, folks. Dreamed up and born, again, by a clique that brought you communism, the Soviet system, the revolutions, mass slaughters, imprisonment of folk who tried to voice thoughts that had been condemned by those who ruled. The thoughts, that is. Then you were condemned, eliminated for having I asked a question. What are you in for? Well, I asked a question too. You're not allowed to ask any questions, you see. I don't care if you want freedom of any kind, you should be allowed to ask any question you want to. And even lunatics have the right to ask questions without being punished. When a child being curious, naturally curious, that's how we have science today, and we have all these different, and we can explain so much because we have natural curiosity. When it's forbidden for you to ask, or a child to ask questions about anything, you're under an incredible tyranny. Dangerous tyranny. I'm also going to put up tonight, though, or I might not, so I might do it the next week, to give you a clue into how old this agenda is. Because you can go way back in history to the cliques who already ruled countries through the monetary system. Power and influence, folks. You can't have it without money. Big money. Power. And it's true what Paul Craig Roberts said too, with Washington using the whole of Europe now. Isn't it great? See, once you, as Marx said, once you centralize a system of different countries or states or whatever, and it's all one power base in the center, then it's far easier to get them all to obey when you pass an order or a law, and they'll all obey at the same time, than trying to go to different areas or different nations and debate with them to come to the same point of view as you want them to go along with. It's far easier when that's impossible, when there's a centralized power. It's for power's sake, folks. Power's sake. Never forget that. Never forget that. And they can use all the wonderful, and very reasonable to the idealistic youth. It isn't until you're a bit older you see the massive corruption of those who gave you the idealism that they were preaching when you were small, young. The same folk who brought you mass slaughter across the whole Soviet bloc and incredible torture and slaughter. And no records, there's no debates, no court, no. Just line them up, slaughter them. Shoot them in the back of the head, torture them. Incredible. It's the same system they brought in there, you see. And you can hear by the rhetoric they've been using for years now, as they step it up. It's the same agenda. You can't say that. You can't think that. You can ask that question. You're a chauvinist, you're racist, whatever mantra they can try and shut you up with, rather than debate the facts and the points that you're trying to, or questions that you're asking. That's what Lenin says. We shall win by slogans. You just shut them up by giving them a nasty name, and you've trained the whole population to freak out when they hear that nasty name. You see, leper, leper. You see. Now remember too, if your big systems run by the massive corporations that will never stand competition, that's another part of it. It's the same boys who literally have nothing but monopolies. And I'm talking about the club that owns all the monopolies of commerce and money and everything else. And now they own the big club of nations, you see, and all the big club of the armies they can use and everything else. And the massive tax base to get their big agenda through, They'll use all kinds of nice things to brainwash these. We're making modified food to help feed the world, says the big corrupt corporations that run it. And they've been paying off governments left, right and centre to shut up about their investigations and what they found out about the effect on the human body and children and everybody else. That's the reality of the idealism. The idealism only works for the youth. If we all live together and we're all nice, all wonderful, this appeals to the young, you see. And there's no nations to fight each other. And hey, you'll find, if you really dig into history, the big wars were caused by one group. One group. You can create what appears to be sides, but it's one group that ruled them all. I've gone through the history of even the historians of the one group who published it, a professor, Royal Institute of International Affairs, CFR, and how they would need world wars. You see? But if you need wars, you need to create sides, don't you? To have the wars. And believe you me, the same people who planned it all profited from it. Massive money be made in war. Massive money. There's the same folk that bring you all the other things. We're giving you poison food to help you. Well, for folk, who are still in Britain, they better get onto this right away too. Fukushima Rice is to go on sale in UK for the first time since 2011 nuclear crisis. Huh? So the UK will become the third nation after Singapore and Malaysia and there are a couple of countries totally dependent on foreign money to commercially import rice from Fukushima since the earthquake and tsunami triggered a nuclear power plant meltdown March 2011. Still going on. They can't clear it up. The radiation fallout, remember the half-life of some of this stuff is 500,000 years and stuff like that. Come on. Now, a few years after this thing, from the very area it happened in, and had the biggest parts of the fallout, they're growing rice and they're going to sell it to people in the UK. Because the same bunch in Brussels and the rest, they love you. The same people love you, remember, Brussels, the EU, they love you all. And you better listen across the whole of the EU with this one because it's not going to stop with Britain. And the money they're getting from the massive lobbyists, and take quite happily because they're utterly corrupt in the European Commission. It's paying them off well. But the UK will become the third nation, say after Singapore and Malaysia. The Fukushima rice called Subu will undergo radiation testing. Oh, I'm sure it'll be awfully good. But they've already upped the death doses, remember, the safe doses, you see, which were so the new safe doses of radiation are actually the old death doses. How can you possibly go along with the corrupt system that you have like this? Huh? Where they can change reality as it's happening. Remember, so many sieverts is deadly. And then they upped it. They doubled it. No, it's now double that is safe. You see. Double that is safe. A new normal. Oh my God. And folk go along and accept it. And then they feed this stuff to their children and themselves. The first import will consist of 1.9 tons of rice sent to London by the National Federation of Agricultural Cooperative Associations. A farmers group, a big one, mind you, which will also be a big lobbyist at the EU in Brussels. And I wonder how many pockets were filled by politicians to get that one all through. Right? Because that's how it really works, folks. And it'll be distributed through the TK Trading, the UK-based import company, to retail shops and wholesalers across London, as well as eateries, including Tokimeats, or Might, a high-end Japanese restaurant in Bond Street, etc. That's how the world really turns, folks. And that's what's running. That's what's turning the world. The utter corruption of all those folk that do all these wonderful things and give you diseased food, GM food with all its poisons, all these massive monopolies because they want to feed the world. Honestly, that's why they do it. It's like Big Pharma that has medications that can save your life, and believe you me, they'll take every penny you've got per pill to do so. You need it, we got it, haha. And they work tirelessly to create these because they love you. They want to help you. Do you understand? Everything and all marketing is lies and propaganda, dealing with the simplest of emotions, and it works incredibly well. Now I have to just get on with things. As I say, I've got to try and get into town as fast as I can this week and get immediate things done. I've literally for 2 or 3 weeks I've been unable to get into town and get things done because I just cannot sleep at night now. It's terrible. Anyway, I hope you've listened to what I've said, and I really would like a world where the average person can be deprogrammed to stand on their own feet and think for themselves. Do you understand? People talk about, and all your mushy Hollywood rubbish that's nothing but the biggest predictive programming system the world's ever seen. It truly is. That's where all your thoughts and your emotions and how you should be and what you should say and what you should think all come from. Massive money, working with the Pentagon, too, to bring you all the wars you've had and future wars to come, to get you all ready for it, you see. With wonderful emotion involved and little humans' interest stories in the movie so you'll relate to it. Perfect, perfect sciences. Do you understand that would be the biggest breakthrough the world has ever seen? Is having enough people who can sift through things and think for themselves without terror coercing them in to go the way that the bosses want. Wouldn't that be a miracle? From Hamish myself from Ontario, Canada, it's good night. May your God, your gods go with you.